Okay, so as you can see, I have my turkey opened, and this turkey has been sitting in my refrigerator since last Saturday, so almost a week. It was frozen when I bought it, and it is still almost frozen on the inside. So what I'm telling you is if your turkey is not in the refrigerator thawing, you need to put them in there right now. So that's step one. Okay, so you're going to reach inside here and you're going to pull out the giblets, and because it's still halfway frozen, it doesn't want to come out. So that's the neck. It's a bunch of ice. And then turn him over, and in the back is a package of giblets, and that is, you got heart and lungs and who knows what else, liver maybe, yeah, that's in there. Those we're going to rinse out in just cold water and rinse them off. And then drain that, set it aside. Okay, stop. I'm washing him in cold water. And looking through for any pin feathers that we might find. Kind of little ones under the arms, and rinse that out. You want to keep this thing. You're going to want that later. They do a pretty good job with the pin feathers anymore, so you generally don't have to pull too many out. Go ahead and... Okay, and then I just sit him up to drain like this in my dish drainer, and I don't know, after a while I will flip him over and drain out the other side, and you let it sit. He can sit there for a little while. You don't have to drain him forever, but he'll be okay out, half hour, but I won't leave him that long. Then when I'm done, I'll wash this. I'll get a sink full of hot soapy water, and I'll wash my dish drainer, and I'll wash everything I've touched with soap, because, including my phone, because I've been touching this turkey, and raw poultry, as you know, is can cause food poisoning. So we're done for this. Okay, so I have some clear water in my pan, my pot, with the giblets and the neck in there, and I've quartered onion, small onion, and just kind of put up into big chunks. Carrot. I'm adding a bay leaf, or 2 or 3 or 4 into there. And I'm going to show you what part of the celery I want you to use. So we want, for the broth, we want this part in the middle. So I'm going to wash these off and put them, stalks and all, into there. And then I'm going to put in about a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of pepper. And we're going to simmer this on the stove for several hours. So if you need to keep adding water to it, because don't let it boil dry, that's what you're gonna have to do. And then we'll take it to that point again. Okay, your dad just reminded me I needed to tell you. First I bring it to a boil, and then I put it down on low to simmer. So then you can go for a couple hours that way. Okay, so I've taken a couple of minutes and I washed the rest of that celery and chopped it up, and along with some onions. Now there's probably 2 cups of onions and maybe 3 or 4 cups of celery. You can chop that much up and then you can add it to your stuffing and see if you've got too much, too little, and adjust accordingly. Your dad does not like big chunks of anything, so I've chopped mine up. Whoops. As you can see, they're pretty little. So, but it's just personal preference. So you were asking earlier about how many bags of stuffing. Well, what I've got in my pan right now is about 2/3 of a bag of those cubes. And then I had about a half a loaf of bread that was in the freezer that was freezer burned. And I have this much cornbread left over. So I'm going to put that all in this pan and just let the bread get stale overnight, because stale bread makes the best stuffing. And I can promise you that I think I'm going to have way more stuffing than I need. So if you, I don't know how much cornbread you're going to make, and we can talk about all of that actually tomorrow, so I won't try to overwhelm you with that, but just know that that's what I'm doing. And I'll send you a video when I'm done with what it looks like in the bowl here. Okay, so I tore up the bread pieces into little pieces, the bread slices into little pieces, and then I'm ready to put the cornbread in there and mix it up. Okay, so we're just going to put the cornbread in here and crumble it up. It helps if it's completely cool, which this isn't, so it's still kind of wet from being hot, but that's okay. It'll be dried out in the morning. And just keep doing this, and then periodically move your fingers around and bring the stuff from the bottom up to the top. Look for any big chunks. Okay, that's good. Okay, so I have all of the cornbread crumbled up, and I'm just going to mix it together with my hands. And once again, look for any big chunks. The reason you don't want super big chunks is because it's hard for the liquid we're going to put in tomorrow to be absorbed. So I'm just going to keep mixing this up, and then we're just going to let this sit out all night uncovered so it can dry out. Okay, so I just wanted to show you a couple of things. Now that he's clean, I've noticed some pin feathers, and I can't get them out, so I'm going to pull them out, I hope, with my tweezers. And yes, we'll wash the tweezers. And then here's another one. I don't know if you can get down in there. So that's what a pin feather looks like. So I think he's drained pretty well, and I'm going to kind of dab him dry, because we want him dry when we stuff him. So I'm going to turn this over. And there's another pin feather. And the world won't quit turning if you don't get all the pin feathers. So don't stress about that. Okay, you can go ahead and... Okay, now we're ready to put him in our pan here. And just, of course, I'm fortunate that I have a pan big enough, but a 9 by 13 cake pan will work as well too. And then we're gonna wrap him in a bunch of plastic wrap. And I have a towel in the refrigerator just in case we get some juices down inside the refrigerator. You're gonna be more happy to wash that towel than you are to clean out your entire refrigerator. Okay. Okay, so I have him in the pan and I've wrapped this way. I did 3 layers this way, and those layers are overlapping. And then I did 2 layers this way. So you can see this thing's pretty airtight. And it's just my way of doing it. And then I'm gonna put him here in the refrigerator, and be careful you don't drop this on your glass shelf. Whoops, sorry, Grandpa. Okay, and this is just the broth cooking on the stove. I wanted to show you what vegetables are starting to cook down. And we're gonna let it go for a few, well, maybe hour, hour and a half. So I just wanted to prove to you that I am actually washing my dish drainer. And I washed out that sink because there's no point in washing things if I'm gonna put them in a contaminated sink. So, and I've wiped down all of the handles, the refrigerator, the towel that I've been using here and wiping my hands off on is going in the laundry. So I just want to make sure that we don't contaminate our work surfaces by what we're doing. Say goodbye to the towel. Okay, so this has been simmering on the stove for a while. You can see the neck is done, the giblets are done. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this off and let it cool down for a little bit, because we're going to want it a little bit cooler than it is now when we do what we have to do next. Okay, the broth is cooled a little bit. We're going to take this neck and I'm just going to chuck it. I don't have to worry about it. And then we're going to drain all of the vegetables. Okay, you can stop it. So this is going to take a minute. Okay, I threw away those vegetables. We're straining the rest. And I've already pulled out the giblets. And we're going to chop these up with a little paring knife and throw them in there. So if you want to, you can take the bay leaf out and throw those away, and the neck, and you can put the vegetables in there and whirl them around in the blender. They would actually be really good in your gravy. I'm just kind of chopping this up just to put it in there. And this is kind of rubbery, so I'm not going to put that in. So you can go ahead and turn that off. Okay, so we're just going to give the vegetables and the giblets a little whirl in the blender. And then I'm going to put this in the refrigerator overnight, and then we'll use that in the morning, and I'll show you how in tomorrow morning. So this is our last video for tonight. See you later. I wanted to show you about the size of potato chunk. So these are about an inch in diameter. You want to go bigger rather than smaller, because you don't want to end up with just soup. But you also want to make them as uniform as possible so that they're all cooked at the same time. And then the bigger the potato you pick, the less you have to peel, and they're easier to handle. So today's tip. And then once I've chopped them all up, I'll fill my pot full of water and then put a lid on it and then let it drain, and do that maybe 1 or 2 more times. Just let the water drain clear so that we know the potatoes are clean. And then I'll fill the pot back up full of water and set it on the stove until I'm ready to get them boiling. Okay, this is 1 can of sweet potatoes. You can see how small this casserole dish is. It's about an 8x8 pan. And so if you're going to have a lot of people eating sweet potatoes, you might want to get 2 cans of sweet potatoes. It's 1 small can of pineapple tidbits. I drained the fluid from both, the liquid in there. I didn't do it at the same time. First I drained the potatoes, and then I poured most of it out. I left probably, I don't know, half a cup. And then I drained the pineapple tidbits into there, kind of mixed it up. And then I have I put brown sugar in there on the top, and then I'm going to pour just a little bit of this around. I don't want to make a soup, so I'm still leaving some of that in there because I don't think we need it. And then I'll pour some marshmallows in there and put a cover over it, some foil, and pop it in the oven when my turkey comes out. So I just wanted to let you know what I was doing. I'm using kind of a spatula to push this around on this pan, if I can get in here, and letting my gravy thicken up. You don't want to cook it too hard, but you don't want to, it's got to boil before it'll thicken. And then as it gets thick, I'm adding water to it so it gets to the consistency I want. You probably will not have to add any salt or pepper to this because, sorry, I'm trying to do 4 things at once here. Because the way that with the turkey stock and the turkey drippings, it kind of seasons it for you, but you can taste it and see what you think. Okay, another perk of making this gravy in this same pan that the turkey was in is that as I've stirred this with this spatula, I've been bringing up the crusty parts that were stuck to the bottom, which does 2 things. It makes your gravy taste better, but I'm cleaning this pan too, so it's just slowly working its way through. So just wanted to let you know about that. And here's what I do with my turkey. Because normally I put it on my cutting board that has the channels cut out of it, but I'm not doing that this year. And I just put paper towels around it to capture any juices so it's not running all over my counter. So your potatoes are done when you can stick a fork through them, which these are easily done. You don't want to overcook them again because then you'll end up with potato soup. But I've just pulled them out of my pot, which I don't know why it's still boiling. My burner must still be hot. And put them in this mixing bowl because I don't have any big mixing bowls. So then I'm just going to sprinkle this on it and some butter and some salt and whirl away. Okay, so my potatoes are done. I probably added half a cup of the potato water to this, and I'm just gonna put a plate on it for right now until I'm ready to dish it up. And then when I put it in my bowl, I'm gonna put just a little slice of butter on the top and let the butter ooze across the top.